Hello, folks. How's it going? Welcome to Tuesday. Gouache Tuesday, to be specific. Redbird. Redbird, you're a cow bear now. Yeepaw. Congratulations on the badge upgrade, and thank you so much for 10 months. Pillar of the community, Redbird. Is Cowbear 9? Oh yeah, it's 9 months. Did they go in 3-month increments? Is that how that works? 1, 3, 6, 9. Well, irregardless, very excited that you're creeping up on the year. Soon you'll be a bronze bear, which is very exciting. Regrettably, I have still not been able to figure out how to get the tip jar to use my cute little custom graphics. I was gonna do the like the ack emoji, the surprised emoji, for whenever someone followed, because I thought that would be a cute little thing to have there. But it doesn't let you do it, I guess. It just reads the message like so and so followed, but then it doesn't drop a bear in the jar. Very unfortunate. Hello, hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome in. Oh ho ho! Sketch prompt, Red Panda celebrating a birthday. Very cute. Now what do red pandas look like? There we go. They are only the cutest. A lot of strong contributions coming through for the Crayon Stream Challenge. How we doing on that, by the way, overall? Let's see. Let's see. My gracious. 33%, so we're 1/3 of the way to the goal. Very exciting. Still 23 days left. I think we can do this. It's fun watching it build up. It's going to be quite the event once we reach that mark, because it's a slow build, which is very exciting. Oh my gracious, Triforce, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. It's so wonderful. Sketch card here so that we can sketch that out for you. Bloop, 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 bloop. And we got about 4 minutes to go, but I don't mind starting a little early for a special birthday sketch. So I'm going to switch it on over to the overhead camera. And we'll do an extra zoom. Okay, so a red panda. Sharpen this pencil. This one's starting to get a little short. This pencil here is, we're nearly to the Palomino marking, which is exciting. This is actually the first one that I'll have gone through. These pencils last a long time, turns out. I guess if you're not using them every single day for like animation work, like they did at the studios back in the day, you don't really go through them too quick. But I've got 2 boxes of them. Well, soon to be 1. I need to mail one to Abby. I promised to do it a long time ago, and then I slacked on it like a fool. Okay, so a little birthday sketch. Hey, Itachi, how's it going? How you doing? I love how undeniably fluffy the red pandas are. It's Triforce's birthday. Triforce Vigor. Everybody wish Triforce Vigor a happy birthday. They're a lovely pencil. It's kind of wild how a little goes a long way with the black wings. Truly. Just a slight press, you can get so much value and emphasis. So I have to be so careful, especially when I start a fresh sketch, because I want to add a little bit of value with shading later on. So I have to go so light with my initial presses. Cute little nose. Neon Ziggs, thank you so much for the bits. Now, of course, I've got to have a little birthday hat. Very important. Little stars on it, maybe. Make them look like a little wizard. Thank you, Lion. Now we can have big fluffy paws. I'll tell you one thing the sketch requests have done for me is gotten me to draw a lot more animals than I would normally draw. I've never been good at drawing animals. But it's really good to have an opportunity to get the practice, so I always appreciate the requests that come in for them. So they've got dark paws. And now we can start shading in the face. So they've got these really, really beautiful markings. This. And then a very, very light marking. And it kind of, you can tell the direction of the fur very easily on the red panda. If I shade in that direction, I'll kind of get the general sense. That fur direction. There we go. And then little dark tufts in the ears. And the bright reddish fur. Darker in the shadows. And I'm not sure exactly where a red panda would be having their birthday, but I'm going to imagine that it's outside. So I'm going to sort of go with that. Arthur Nico, I'm so glad you could make it. Welcome in everyone who's joined since we started the stream here. If you just joined, I am doing a sketch prompt request for Triforce. It is a special birthday request because it's their birthday today. A red panda having a lovely little birthday celebration. And just some random foliage here. And there we go. Just a happy little red panda celebrating a birthday. Once again, happy birthday to you, Triforce. I hope it is a very good one. Happy. Itachi, thank you so much for gifting that sub. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to zoom back out here. Working on a piece a little bit bigger. Not much, though. You can see how small I work, honestly. And I'll just tilt and the pan. Beautiful. Maybe today we should do another animal study. I feel like I've got a lot of, well, I just had a warm-up, first of all. But I've got a lot of landscapes under my gouache belt lately, and I haven't done any animal sketch studies in a long time. So maybe I'll go on to Picrepo, the image searching website, and find myself a very dynamic, well-lit creature to do a sketch study of. I think that'd be really fun. We've got the whole kingdom of nature at our disposal here. I can search for pretty much anything. What shall I do? Ooh, something with fur. Yes, fur is very, very dynamic with lighting. Let's see. Wonder what happens if I just put in animal. What kind of result do I get? A lot of different things, actually. Many, many different animals. A lot of the mammals. I see some birds in here. The reference that I eventually do get, I will be sure to put into the references folder on the Discord, !Discord in chat if you would like to join the Discord. I also like something with a bit of color contrast, something bold. Ooh, I think I have found me a candidate here. I'm gonna save this image and I'm gonna put it into the Discord right now. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going over to the art references folder. I'm gonna slam jam this reference in there. It's got great lighting, it's got great color contrast, very heavy color contrast actually. And it is a crab. But specifically a crab on some very gray, what look almost like volcanic rocks. It's got a very, very, very bright red carapace that sort of ombres into yellow at the main body. And I think we could get some really, really fun techniques going here, especially with negative painting. Since we have such a bright color for this creature, we could sort of shade and color out ombre, put in all of those light reds and yellows, and then cut around the entire figure with those dark grays and heavy values and really imposing lighting scenarios. I think that would look pretty darn cool. So, let's start sketching. Let's get our general shape here. So the overall shape, we need to take into account the legs. I didn't want to just start making a circle for the body because I know the legs would just fly right out of the whole thing here. So I'm just going to generally make a shape for the entirety of the crib. Sort of a gestural line. Like this. This blob is pretty much where the crab's going to live. This strange UFO here. starship crab. And they've got their little eyes. Roundabouts here. We'll be moving and adjusting this anatomy as we go. What we basically want to do first is just place where all the major parts are before we go into any fine details. So here we've got the big pincies. And then we've got them leggies. Oranges, thank you so much for subscribing yet again. Thank you, thank you. Can definitely relate on the tired front. 1,000,000%. Now, I talked all big about not having the legs go off the page, but now look at me. But you know what? You roll with the punches. That leg was always supposed to go off the edge. Now over here. Anatomically, they're pretty complex, but I don't want to let that kind of daunt me. I shan't be daunted. Not today. When you find an overwhelming complexity in shape, just break it down to the bigger shapes and then work your way back up. Yeah, I would be a terrible marine biologist. Crabs are made of shape. This is how you might spot them in the wild. Notice shape they have. And then underneath, they've got all these fancy little dealy parts and gizmos. Oh, and then your pencil breaks. That's a very important part of the process, actually. Your pencil always should break exactly at that point. If it doesn't, then there might be something wrong with your pencil and you might need to get it checked out at the shop. Oh yeah, thingamabobs, they've got plenty. Doing a crib today. Crib. The underside of the crib, I believe, is called the apron, because crabs actually do a lot of baking, and they like to keep their clothes clean underneath. Aha! We have found ourselves at the first stretch break of the day. Very important. So if you feel like doing it, stand up with me and do a quick stretch. Nothing elaborate, just basically letting the blood flow to the legs. Hey, Pachi, you did not miss much. We started the stream drawing a birthday sketch for Triforce, this little red panda friend. Get rid of my stretching guy here. Little red panda birthday. And now we're sketching a Kreb, and we're gonna paint them. Okay, so now make sure that my sketch is more or less balanced. And I can start sketching out background details. So I got the rocks over here, very generally speaking. Areas of light and shadow. So I know that right here there's sort of a big fissure in the rock, so it's going to be some shade in there. And then got some more crevasses over here. And this big rock goes up like this and goes. Again, important to do the sound effects. Bob Ross taught me that. And then here. And it's very, very, very dark underneath this leggy. And then lots of little sort of pits and indents in that rock form, which will probably do some dry brushing to get those effects later on. So I'm going to get the flat brush, as we always like to do. I'm just going to get it primed, by which I mean just putting it in the water for a little bit, making sure that it's saturated. And then we're going to grab the palette knife, paper towel, and I'm going to get my colors picked out for the palette. So I know that we need red. Going to need a lot of red for this friend. Red in here. We're going to need a couple of other shades. We'll get this, and then to a lesser extent, this. I'm going to grab some opposite colors, because opposite colors make the grays. We can also use a little bit of black, but I tend to stray away from that just because I want some sense of color control for my dark values. And in this picture, I think that will be especially important because we have this red, orange, yellow kind of gradient on the crab, which means I really want some cool colors for those rocks. So I'm thinking like French blue and Prussian blue, deep, dark blue colors. And I also want some yellows, of course. And we're going to need white, as always, for tinting and opacity. My white right there. Beautiful. Okay. But I've got that done. The texture, honestly, has gotten way more appealing for the jelly gouache. And it's gone from jelly to more of like a butter, like a churned butter kind of texture. So if anything, it has definitely gotten more forbidden as time has gone on. So I'm going to just get some water here. And we're going to go in with a very wet paint mixture. I'm going to grab some white, a little bit of yellow and gold. And we're going to start painting this crab. We'll start with the very top. Now we're going to dip into our bright reds. I'll start with this very white, very pale pink version. And we'll be using that for the highlights on some of these leggy bits. This is basically whenever there is a highlight on the shell, that is going to be where this color pokes through, which is actually very little of the overall shell. But it makes it a lot easier if I just kind of slosh this down first. Paint stream with actual foods. What kind of foods are we talking here? Like using ketchup and mayo and mustard and relish? Can I just make a really delicious hamburger? I think I could make it work with condiments, honestly. If I had condiments and a clean palette knife, I could make something pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm going to use a less dilute red. Go in pretty bold. Where did I buy this brush from? I feel like I always forget. Was it? It might have been goodsfromjapan.com. I found like one place that managed to ship to Canada, but the brand is Namura, Namura, and it is a coloring brush. If you type that in, you should be able to find results for your local country. Now, just like when I did the landscape last time, I guess last time being yesterday, my main approach was layering up, because lately I've been messing with and trying to learn how to use gouache a little bit more like watercolor, which has been really fun, bit of a challenge, but using it less thickly, more transparently, and building up layers, most importantly. So with that, I have to be much more delicate and kind of picking my spots as I go. Going very, very carefully, but also knowing that I'll be going in with darker colors later on. Which size did I get for mine? I have a few different ones, so it's hard for me to remember because it's written in Japanese. But if you can read this, this is the one I have. I think this might be large. It's this character here, I believe. Denotes large. But I also have the extra large one. Let's see, where is that? I have a whole bunch of Japanese brushes here. This is my hake brush small. Here's the hake brush big. It's a chungus. And then I have also from that same brand is the flat, which is a natural hair flat. This is the only natural hair flat that I have, and it's really, really, really nice. And then this is the big chungus. Very, very big. An additional big chungus here. And various smaller chunguses. A lot of brushes. Some might say too many. But that's okay. I kind of fell in love with this one specifically, so I don't really use the others as much as I should. But it's really, really good for stuff like this, where you're almost doing calligraphic marks, like putting down wide marks that taper off into small. A lot of the contrasts look pretty intense right now, mostly because I did the lightest part, and now I'm doing not the darkest, but pretty darn close to the darkest. So I've jumped down several layers of value with these colors. And then I'll be filling in the in-between bits as I go. Best way to kind of get this soft look. These legs over here are way darker, like a million billion times darker. But while I've got this pigment on my brush, I'm just filling in what I have. Going through, putting in just this specific value, but I'm going to be darkening this tremendously as I go. It is tickling me to no end that a lot of the first-time comments from viewers today are just crab or some variation on that. I love that very much. Welcome in everyone who's new. Now I can go a bit darker, so I've got these blues over here that I can mix down into my dark red. But I want to air it on the side of red, not blue, because I'll be using most of the cool colors for the background. Those rocks. Now's my chance to add in some nice dark value. A lot of it being the connective tissue between the leg segments, or legments, as I will now refer to them. And some of these lines are very small and very delicate. And again, I'm doing this sort of thing where I'm drawing in the darkest values and then I'll work my way up into the middle values afterwards. It's kind of showing myself where to go next, leaving a little bit of a treasure map. Because it can sometimes be very difficult, like you lose track of where you are in a painting, and then it's like, I don't know how to get back to my original intention. You gotta leave yourself these little yardsticks. Hey, Pocket Bear. The Jelly Gouache is really nice. It's very nice. My caveat always being I don't know how it lasts in the long term. I don't know the light fastness yet, but I would highly recommend it for anyone who is curious about gouache at all, who is looking into trying it for the first time, because for me, the feel of it, the brightness of the pigment, it feels pretty close to the stuff that I use. The Winsor & Newton Designer's Gouache, which is really nice. And you get a heck of a lot of it for not that much money, which is great. Now, one of the things that people always talk about with their kits that they've had for a long time, eventually it dries up. So, I don't know how it acts when it's dry. It's a guessing game for me at this point. I'm very interested to see. My basic plan right now is just, I'm going to use this stuff until it's unusable, basically. I'm just going to fully go for it And like even after it's dry, I'm still going to use it as a dry palette, so more like watercolor. Because I really want to know. I want to be able to have an answer definitively to give folks who come in here and ask about it, because it's kind of everywhere. You know, it's really easy to find. But it absolutely clobbers the like student grade gouache tubes that you would get at like a Michael's. It destroys those easily. Which is great. There should be more alternatives for folks who are learning gouache. That is very good to hear, Miss Rags. Very good indeed. Yes, indeed. Gouache is the paint type. Gouache is very similar to watercolor. It's a water-based paint medium, except that it has a couple of extra little things in it, like mattifying agents and opacifiers, so you can use it really thickly, like an acrylic, if you want to. But generally speaking, most people use it similarly to watercolor, but then with the option to go thicker at the end. That's generally what I do. I start off with some really light washes with the gouache, and then I go in at the end with very little water, and I'm able to make very strong, opaque details. Now it's time to put a little bit more color sass on our Krebs head. I'm gonna get some of this golden color, mix it down right into where we were mixing those reds. And we're gonna put some shadows on our friend's head here. A little bit more of this red. Maybe even some yellow ochre. Really deepen it up, make it more of like a honey color. Yeah, that's the stuff. We want to go bold. We don't want to go halfway on these shades. Now I'm leaving little dots because there's these kind of little bumps on the crab's head. And I just want to represent that texture. And then over here, there's kind of like lines. I'm going to lighten that color up again. Yellow, a little bit of white. Do I soak my watercolor paper before taping it down? No, I do not. I'm using just Arches hot pressed right off the pad, and then I tape it straight down. Kate, please. You mustn't. Now, I'm gonna go even darker on the crab legs. Actually, I need to clean off this part of the palette because there is white paint in there and it will absolutely lighten anything I put on top of it. It's very, very strong. Old cartoon paintings, it was a lot of different materials. There was no hard and firm rules back then. I know that they used acrylic paint for the cells, definitely. And there was a lot of acrylic on illustration board for the backgrounds, even up until relatively recently. I know that DreamWorks Animation in the 90s and early 2000s, they were still using acrylic on illustration board. In Japan, it was much more common to use poster color, but poster color was also used over here in some Californian productions. But yeah, Nicker poster paint is still available today, and that's the stuff that was used in a lot of Japanese animation for the backgrounds. I've got 2 sets of it. Haven't used it in a while, still feel bad about that. I'm going to crack it out again very soon, though. I had put it away mostly because we did a lot of streams when my back was bad from a different location, so I didn't really have access to it. It was a little too messy to use, but now that I'm back at the desk, I'm able to once again start using my... Let me pull it up for you. It's a Nicker. It's like Nick, the name, with an ER at the end. Oh, it's so heavy. These are all my jars of poster color. But this is basically what they used at Studio Ghibli up until a couple of years ago. And it's really, really nice stuff. It's expensive, and you have to import it. But that's how it is. Now, as for this crab of ours, I've got to do the underside of the carapace. I'm going to use a light blue for that. But yeah, I would definitely like to get the poster color out again very soon because I get a lot of questions about it. And it feels like a real shame to just have this stuff and not show it off. So I definitely will be doing that in some upcoming streams. Please look forward to it. Ooh, time for a stretch, but actually I need to finish painting in the blue here first because it'll look really wild if I don't. So I'm just gonna finish doing this real quick. A little bit in the eyes. A little bit on the leggy. Okay, stretching. Let's get our stretch going right now. Whoop. Well, that's so exciting, Manjo. I love to hear it. Love it when folks are getting in to the gouache world. All right. So the blue is still drying, so I need to let that continue to dry. So I'm going to look for other spots in the painting that I can then start to work on. So I'm going to actually add in a little bit of yellow underneath. I'm just going to clean off this little spot here. It's weird when you get so used to techniques and then you kind of notice yourself doing things unconsciously. I think that is especially true with using the calligraphy brush because it's a natural hair brush, and the defining feature of a natural hair brush as opposed to synthetics is that they tend to hold their shape. So if I do like something like this, it'll stay like that, like flat and then wide and bristly. And it's just sort of going in between this mode where it's like big and flat, doing some strokes, and then going back in. And as you're mixing, going like tapping it on all sides so that it becomes sharp again. And it's something that you just kind of do eventually. Oh, I know, Itachi. I'm really trying to get some new originals up. Things have been quite busy around here, which is very fortunate, you know, very, very fortunate. But I would like to get a few more originals up in the shop for folks. Luckily, this will be one of those. That's why I'm trying to do more standalone and less sketchbook in the next few streams, is because I would really like to put some more things up in the shop for folks who want to get some paintings. Yeah, whoop, hello. Now I'm going to grab some of this magenta. There's no real shocking pink in this set, which makes it a little bit different than the gouache collection that I use, because I tend to like to mix in that opera rose, which is a very bold, bright pink color, especially for mixing into other colors. But I need to mix a pretty bright one, so I'm going to go with some white and magenta. Because magenta kind of turns into a bubblegum pink when you add enough white to it. I'm going to add that to the eyes. How much time do I spend painting per day? It definitely varies on the day. On non-admin heavy days, days where I'm like answering a lot of emails or taking meetings or doing things like that, it's a lot. It's most of the time I'm awake. I'm usually picking away at something, and not in like a grueling burnout kind of way, but it's just kind of my natural state of being. I get restless if I'm not sketching or painting or doing something like that. But usually it's like, you know, working on the next gig, getting concepts ready, stuff like that. Which can sometimes put you in a bit of a bummer state because you can't show any of that stuff to the internet. And that's not, of course, what the end goal should be for art. In fact, it's nice to keep a lot of stuff secret for yourself, you know, improvement and things like that. But it is kind of sad when you go for like months at a time and you're like, I'm making so much art right now, but I can't show you anything. But yeah. Will I be making prints of my digital art? Absolutely I will. This is the summer of prints. Rest assured, when the prints are ready to go, I am not going to shut up about it. I'm going to be very annoying, and I'm sorry in advance, but I'm going to be doing a lot of prints this summer. It's going to be nice. It's going to be very print heavy. Okay, so I think this is just about dry enough. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so now I can start working on some background stuff. Let's go. So for the background, I'm going to be mixing up some grayish purples, which is why I pulled in these really dark blues. Extremely dark, French blue, Prussian blue. I want to get a nice light medium gray. Now the background we want toned totally darker than the crab overall. We want the background to surround the crab with darkness, really sort of box in that shape and make it look like the crab is lit, like it's glowing. So I'm going to start with not a bright gray, but instead a pretty medium dark gray. And then we're going to work at all the spots where I see that the rocks are the lightest in the background. And then just like with the crab, we're going to go down and down and down in value until we've got some pretty nice three-dimensional looking rocks. For the most part here, we can just box in the shapes. We can do the big shapes. Get our little friend here all tucked in. What do I think of the Himi Gouache? Big fan. I've got the set right now. This isn't the Himi, but this is like basically the exact same thing. It's the Artex. Which, as far as I can tell, is made in the same factory and then sold under a different brand name. But the Jelly Gouache is good. I'm a fan, for sure. I bought it very recently because I have been using the same gouache, the Winsor & Newton Designer Gouache, pretty much ever since I started painting. And I wanted to have a more informed opinion on what else was out there. And a lot of folks talk about this jelly gouache, so I thought, well, I better check that out. And I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed with what I see. Now I want to go with a relatively thin layer of this purple paint, mostly because I want to keep seeing my sketch that's underneath so that I can block out those big dark areas. Go. More water. The main reason that I used this specific pencil is because it's a watercolor pencil, which means that eventually when I lay over the thick layers of paint, it'll just dissolve right into the background, which I always really, really like that effect. I like to have a bit of a versatile option between sometimes I want to see the lines, sometimes I don't. I'm going to gray out this purple a little bit with some yellow. It's a very quick way to reach the center of the color wheel when you're coming in from purple. Now, a lot of the stuff in here is going to be supremely dark. I'm not super concerned with like how the strokes look or anything like that. None of that will really matter once I start laying in those very dark tones. A lot of this stuff will be cutting in with a color that is almost as dark as black. And then in here we've got rocks that sort of come in front of this. And for a lot of the detail work, I'll be switching back to my calligraphy brush. Back do that. I'll make that switch now. I'm just going to put in a little bit of yellow, again, to gray it out a little bit more. So this is when I can make corrections and adjustments to a lot of these anatomical shapes where like how the legs sit and things like that. Would be kind of the spot to do that now. And now I'm going to go in with this sort of gray mid-tone and block out a lot of the areas that I want to make very dark. And then sort of spill them out into the lighter areas to get a bit of that rock texture. Lion Bite, thank you so much for gifting that sub. Dang, gifting 3 months. Thank you. Very, very kind of you. Jeez Louise. Okay, it's time to go super dark now. So I'm gonna grab, where is my palette knife? I'm gonna grab a little bit of the brown burnt umber here. Burnt umber is really, really nice when you combine it with blue. It makes a super, super dark color. That is still in the cool family. We can mix that in with a little bit of red, yellow. Okay. This color is going to be dark as heck. I'm going to mix it into the wet paint that we already have down so that it doesn't take over everything. And once again, this becomes kind of a lesson in dropping in the darkest value and then working my way back to a middle ground. I am in the zone. Hi, Abby. How's it going? Oh, that rocks, Shamrock. Thank you so much for stopping by. What is this crab's name? That's a good question. Ooh, time for another stretch break. Let's do it. My goodness, this is the birthday episode today. Very excited. Going to let this dry a little bit while I do this sketch request. Bullywag. There we go. Little birthday pollywag. Boop, 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 boop. I put it next to the other one. It's like they're celebrating together. A super birthday. Very cute. Ooh, birthday steak. Sounds amazing. And not only because we're at the point in the stream where I start getting real hungry for supper. We're getting dangerously close to that bonus monthly follower goal. Excited to see someone else walk away with some free art. Petite Lexicon. We actually have both here right now. It's miserable today. I think it's currently 33 outside, which in Fahrenheit is hot. I don't know. 90s, somewhere abouts. And it's thunderstorming. I'm actually very relieved that the internet hasn't gone off yet. Okay, I need to darken up these eyes. Oh, that would be really nice. No humidity. That is honestly the part that really gets us here. Because I've been to hot places before, but it was always like LA where there's almost no humidity. Whereas here, if it gets above 20 here, and it's the usual humidity, which is dang near 100%, it's just bad. It's swampy. Which is fine for a Shrek, but not for me. Okay, one more dance into the darkness with this shadow color, and then we'll add the eye highlight, and we should be just about good to go. Another lovely palm stream. Hope everyone's had a nice time hanging out with me here today. I have certainly had a nice time hanging out with y'all. big old dollop of light. But of course, there's still the best part to go. It's peeling time, so get your peeling emotes ready because we're about to take the tape off of this Creb friend. Been a while since I got the mic right down there. Let's do this. The power peel. All right. Now we'll give that a sign-a-roo, so it is the 22nd of June. Feels like just yesterday we were doing this, huh? And that little friend will be up in the store right after the stream to go to a nice new home. Thank you everyone for stopping by. Let me see if I can remember all of my fun plugs. Thank you for following. Thank you, of course, to those who have subscribed and gifted subs today. Thank you so much for supporting me in all the fun artistic things that I like to try and do. Exclamation Discord in the chat if you would like to join our Discord, get notified when I go live, and also see the fun art references that I use, and also, most importantly, just to hang out with all of us. We do all sorts of fun stuff over there. There is so many resources and lots of art to look at. Everyone is super creative. It's bonkers, honestly. Every single day I wake up and I go, you make so much cool stuff. You say all the funny things. Sometimes you're cursed. I can't help you. But it's a blast, honestly. Truly. I'll be back on Thursday. We'll be back for Copic Thursday, where y'all get to pick the marker colors that I choose, and then I try to make some illustrations with them. And that's it. Please have a great evening, /morning, /whatever it is, wherever you are. And I will see you on Thursday. Goodbye, everyone.